great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Tuesday, November 4th, Election Day 2025. My Cordaro Jeweler's watch tells me it's a 9/11 and change. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. Broadcasting today from the United States of America. I could prove it. Because democracy hasn't died, unlike the liars who pretended it would. It's Election Day. It's also the place for the brave, like the veterans we salute today, thanks to our man John Basiliga and another one of his great companies, Serenity Care. Edward Barrett, Jessup, Albert Micka, DuPont, Richard Dent, Salem Township. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible founding fathers that government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our salvation, our direction, not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God himself. It was not something that could be parceled out to groups. Freedom couldn't be controlled by government and government officials because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press, no matter how they use it. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show, well, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, given our commitment to common sense, we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you for the balance of this morning in a world where the leadership of an entire political party, the Democrats, has gone insane. Where the global elites, the establishmentarians, and everyone that runs the show or thinks they do has gone insane. It's not you. It's them. Fascinating. Anyway, it's Election Day. Guys, we got to get this done. I'll have to check my newspapers today to see what happens for, and if there's a sample ballot in here. I've got a sample ballot that Brian Hughes gave me yesterday. And I don't know, the newspapers, they're just so awful. Dear Lord. It's not there. We'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. The things that, if you're in Lackawanna County, if you're in Scranton, Lackawanna County, Scranton, I'm just urging you, begging you, vote Gene Barrett for mayor. And there's several good Democrats running for council, but I'm supporting Mark Payne for council. And then we go Lackawanna County. The only way to change the insanity that has been Lackawanna County and its commissioners for almost a decade now is Chet Murley. And then, of course, when you go to Superior Court, we want Maria Batista. We go County Controller, we want Walter Griffith. We go Commonwealth Court, we want Matt Walford. When we get to the Supreme Court, no No, no. Remember the commercial? No, 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 no. Yeah. So we want a solid no to Christine Donahue. A solid no to Kevin Doherty is the way we say it here. And a solid no to David Wecht. Wecht is a Pittsburgh machine left-wing lunatic. Doherty is a Philadelphia right-wing or left-wing lunatic. And Christine Donahue, I don't even know where she's from. She's a disaster. So let's get rid of them. What are you playing music, Bulldog? The Bulldog just breaks out in trumpet with his trumpet now and then. He can't help himself. But this, guys, this is a big election. I know that many of you are, even though you listen to this show, you are jaded on whether your vote's worth it. Believe me, it is. And I would invoke the name of Charlie Kirk. I wore a Charlie Lives shirt yesterday. I would invoke Charlie Kirk as a more recent memory, but I would invoke even more so our veterans. I mean, we're only asked to go and be inconvenienced for what, 20 minutes, a half an hour to go vote? That's all we're asked. That's not much. What do we have to do to be truly patriotic? Of course, I think we got to do more than just vote, but at least if you vote, you've done something. What do you think, guys? Please, go out there and do it. I'm going to vote right after I'm off the air. And Cutie will vote after she's done with work tonight. You know, so come on. Please do it. That's all. Please do it. It's very important. So somebody asked me to ask Gene Barrett who he voted for in the last two elections. First of all, that's his LTS back at you, but that's his personal choices. I have no idea. And I'm more worried about what he's going to do, not his politics. The key thing, it's not about politics. That's why I'm crossing the aisle. It's not about politics. It's about saving the damn city from left-wing lunacy, from incompetence that goes with the left-wing lunacy. Hey, two important things, and I didn't, some of you reminding Wendy in particular. The death of Dick Cheney overnight. And we'll talk a little bit about that. I had the pleasure to be with Dick Cheney. I know he got that horrible reputation, and then because of his daughter, he went anti-Trump. And so there was a sour taste, but I'm trying to go back to when I met him and the couple of conversations I was fortunate to have with him, a couple of times when he spoke to groups that I was in and had followed him for a long time. On balance, a good public servant. I think, in retrospect, our efforts in Afghanistan and Iraq were misplaced. So, I mean, capable of making mistakes, but not out of anything vile, out of patriotism. So I think a good man who made mistakes, some substantial, but someone to be lauded either way. And then, by the way, 9:35 today, after the Veterans Tribute, we're going to have David DeCosmo on because he's going to talk about George Banks. Remember him, the murderer? We've gone over this, and he died in prison. Sort of an odd juxtaposition, he and Dick Cheney dying on the same day, but in any event. So somebody says, whoever you vote for commissioner will never serve. Brenda will stay. No, she's not going to stay. I'm voting for Murley. It's the only chance. If you want more of this sick left-wing nonsense from the boy King Billy Gaughan in Lackawanna County, then Capolini's your guy because he's a left-wing lunatic spitting and screaming at the No Kings rally. He's out of his mind. I like him, engaging personality, but he's out of his mind. And he's uneducated and uninformed about a lot of things. So, there you go. Tom Welby, hey, if he wins, and I like him, I had him on the show. He called in, I put him on. I really like the guy. Good guy, solid guy. Next year, he'll be supporting Paige Cognetti for U.S. Congress because he's a Democrat. And through and through. That's why Gene Barrett is not that way. That's why I support him for mayor, not only because he'll do a good job, but because he's normal. Anyway. Somebody said, I voted early on the way to work. It was so easy, I'm going to do it again on the way home, said one Democrat. That's a good line. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK, Election Day, November 4th. We'll be back. Steve Martin reminding us that this date, 1922, the entrance to the King Tutankhamun's tomb, discovered in Egypt. There's a really good book about this subject, and I mean excellent. If you remember the name Martin Dugard, he's the incredible historian who brought facts, figures, and life to the Bill O'Reilly books, which are all outstanding, by the way. And Dugard wrote this book about King Tut's tomb with James Patterson, one of our great authors. And you think of James Patterson as pithy, but no. This is with Dugard. It's outstanding. And I can't remember the name of the book, but I read it, and I read it in one sitting. It was so good. In any event, Tom from Dallas urging patriots to get out to vote. And he's concerned. He says the Democrats are using the shutdown and the threat of SNAP benefits ending on the Republicans to fearmonger to their base to come out and vote. Just like they did with abortion a few years ago. Don't let them outvote us. We need all patriots out voting today, says Tom from Dallas. I'm with you. So he says, you're going to be very disappointed tomorrow. Better get ready to play the best of show. Come on. Listen, here's the thing. It doesn't matter in my life, we'll put it that way. Who wins, who loses, all of that stuff. It doesn't. It matters, though, very much for my grandchildren. And so that's the issue. That's why I don't want this scum left wing and the scum in the Democrat Party to be in charge. Okay? That's the key. Not interested in them. So we play the King Tut song. We played it before for the boy King, Billy Gaughan. And he's got another irascible running man. I'm telling you, him and Capolini, they'll be yelling and screaming at everybody. And God bless our county if they ever win and take power back. Unbelievable. In any event, a lot. Guys, you got to get out and vote. Please make the effort. I'm going to assume the substantial amount of our audience, substantial majority of our audience are common sense. And you might vote for some Democrats, which is fine because I will too. But you'll vote for normal people who will not toe the Democrat Party line, because that line is deadly. It's based in complete ignorance and lies, and it's also, at its core, it's got an evil to it. So please remember that. And then just remember the lies. All the lies they told you. Oh, there'll never be another abortion in Pennsylvania. We had a state representative, Haddock. That was it. He was the abortion king. He lied to you. Disgracefully so. And to take a subject that important so cavalierly makes me sickened. So just remember that they lied to you. And that they will lie again, because that's all they do. That's all they have. Period. Well, my Picardo Jewelers watch says 9:32, which means we're a little bit over, but not crazy. We'll take a break and be back with our Veterans Tribute. It's the Bob Cordaro Show on Election Day. Our veterans, this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by our man, John Basiliga, and all of his great companies. But today, we feature Serenity Care, the personal care community with locations in Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. Personal care services, dementia care services, dedicated dementia care units at the Mid-Valley and Kingston locations. All four of these personal care locations have been completely renovated, inside and out, accepting new residents, and they are the gold standard of senior care in Northeast PA. Edward Barrett, Jessup. We lost him October 26th at age 81. His former wife is Anne-Marie Barrett of Einan. The couple had been married for 26 years. Edward Barrett was born in Peckville, graduate of St. Michael's Parochial School, Jessup, and St. Patrick's High School, Oliphant, class of 1961. He was a veteran in the U.S. Army National Guard as a private during the Vietnam era. He was employed as X-ray technician at Farview State Hospital, SCI Waymart, for 35 years, serving as president of the ASME Local Council for 20 years. Parishioner of St. James Church, currently Queen of Angels Parish. He was a fourth-degree Knight of Columbus, and we need more Knights of Columbus. Remember the great Jessup Carbino Club, Jessup VFW, Jessup American Legion. He was involved in all the sports when his kids were growing up. Mr. B was the most loving and supportive father, grandfather, brother, and friend a person could have. He would support you in your greatest time of need, but also was never afraid to tell you when he believed you were wrong, without judgment. He's survived by his children, 3, his grandchildren, 3 of them, and many other family members. Edward Barrett, our veteran, this day, this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and his great Serenity Care. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, sunny and windy, 57 degrees, he's calling it. It's 51 as I speak. Tonight, clear skies, low 38. Wednesday, partly sunny, not as windy. Showers developing by evening, 60 degrees. Thursday, sunny, breezy, and cooler, 50. Interesting. Well, if you, I'm actually sort of shocked, but they have George Banks and his story in the local rags. The infamous mass murder. He killed 13. He was 83. And the guy who covered it, and we've had him on a few times regarding the George Banks saga, and that was our own David DeCosmo. March of the Cue Balls, that means David's coming on. How are you, David?
Doing pretty well, Bob. Fighting off some allergies right now, though.
Allergies in the late fall, huh?
Yeah. Must be an onset to winter, I guess.
It's like I don't want to see another winter, right?
Exactly. Well, Bob, I guess for the public at large, the George Banks story, the story of the largest mass murder in the state of Pennsylvania, has come to an end. But for those who lived through it, especially first responders, but I guess even down to those of us in the news media, it's something that will always be with us because of the horrific nature. September 25th, 1982, Banks takes an AR-15 rifle, goes to Wilkes-Barre to his home on Schoolhouse Lane, and then later to Heather Highlands Mobile Home Park in Jenkins Township, and takes the lives of 13 people, many of them his common-law wives, his children, and some folks related to them. And the questions of why, in many cases, are now being looked at again. Why did it happen? Well, he was convinced that there was going to be a race war. He was of mixed race, and he was convinced there was going to be a race war and that his family would suffer and that he wanted to end that suffering before it came about to that stage.
My word.
Why didn't they take his life right then and there? Because it was a possibility. And the late Jim Zardecki, county detective, who passed away just this past year, told me that he had Banks in his sights, but Banks was holed up at a home in Wilkes-Barre and refusing for some time to surrender. And Zardecki had him in his sights, and he told me, as he did back in the day that this all happened, he said that if he had fired and missed, there was going to be a lot of dead people. And he said, I would probably have been one of them because he would have opened up with that AR-15. Why wasn't he executed? He was sentenced to death, and it wasn't until many years later that he was ruled incompetent to stand trial or to be executed. And in fact, I had a session yesterday via text message with Al Flora, who represented Banks all the way through the Supreme Court. And let me read what he wrote. George's mind was broken for a long time, and one can't imagine the horror he experienced while being in isolation in a state prison for 43 years. In many ways, such unimaginable horror experienced every moment of every day was far more cruel than any swift execution. And Al said, for George, the turmoil of racial prejudice, coupled with the death of so many, is something that no sane person could ever endure. So,
well,
as
I'm not playing a violin for George Banks.
No,
Sorry.
no one is, Bob. No one is. But again, there are a lot of aspects to this story, and to be fair, you want to look at all of those aspects. Until he committed those crimes, those mass murders, the largest mass murder in this country had taken place in Texas. I think it was back in the 60s when somebody killed 15 people. Excuse me. So,
David, was he ever repentant? Did he ever say, "Oh, I did it"? And what do we?
You know, Bob, it's funny you should ask that because I don't know if anybody in the media ever interviewed George Banks, but I did briefly, and that is when they were leading him away from the courthouse. He had been convicted. He had been sentenced to death. And in the courtroom, he said, I found God. So as he's leaving, I stick my mic over the deputies and said, I said, Mr. Banks, in the courtroom, you said you had found God. Is that true? He said, yes, it's true, or yes, I did. To which I said, are you at peace? To which he answered, yes, I am. I don't know if anybody else ever got anything out of him, but I have that on video. As a matter of fact, WBRE-WYLU is running a podcast on Banks, which now is dated because of his death, but they played that clip during that podcast.
Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah,
I just didn't remember any remorse, I did it. I sort of remember, I do remember, but again, vague memories that could be corrected, that he denied doing it or something to that effect, you know?
He claimed at one point that a couple of the people were actually killed by police. Of course, there was no such evidence of anything like that. And he, as far as being remorseful, the only thing I can tell you is anytime I ever saw him, whether I was near him, whether he was in court, whether somebody else was near him, he never showed any emotion. He was blank, staring ahead, saying nothing except for those few words that I got from him. And by the way, during the last few years, Al Flora kind of stepped out of the case after the Supreme Court ruled he was incompetent to be executed. But he said that he was, sometime a few years ago, they appointed a guardian for him in prison because he was incapable of making decisions about his own life.
Yeah. And he looks like a normal guy. He looks like he reminds me a lot in his older, the pictures contemporaneous with the problem with his murders. He looks like Jim Brown. I mean, he looks like a regular guy.
He was a prison guard, and ironically, that happened after he had been convicted of crimes. When he was taken into custody, I think I told you before, I was 2 or 3 houses away, lying on the ground, sticking my microphone out, recording Mr. Brunson, a friend of his, who finally talked him out of that house. Now, I don't think he could have fired in my direction because I was on the same side of the street as he was. But it was pretty scary for a while there, knowing this guy.
I think so. Somebody killed 13, and you're laying on the ground with a microphone.
Yeah, but I was a couple of houses away.
An AR-15 could reach that far, David.
God bless the police officer. Hey, remember the police officers that had him, surrounded basically. They didn't have the armament and protection they have today.
Yeah.
So a lot of people put their lives on the line in getting him into custody, but the rest of the story is just so mired in unimaginable horror.
David, what was there a takeaway? Was there anything we learned from his murders and his conviction and his legal saga over the decades? Was there anything learned, or is it just, hey, here's what happened and that's it?
Well, the district attorney, the present district attorney of Luzerne County, was on that same podcast that 22 and 28 did. And he said they're still studying this because there are pages and pages and pages of testimony. One man survived. He shot 2 people walking outside the house in Wilkes-Barre, and one of them, Jimmy Olson, survived. He's still around.
Wow.
2 boys in the mobile home court were hiding. They survived. So that's what we learned from it is that AR-15 rifles are deadly, especially when they're in the hands of a madman, whether he's mad because of insanity or mad because of rage. And I'm told the DA says they're still studying that case. And he was also amazed, Bob, at the swiftness. Remember, these happened in September of 1982. He was tried and convicted in the next year. That would never happen today.
Yeah.
It would be years before it came to trial, probably. The only difference today is that you would have probably a lot more evidence. People would be grabbing their smartphones and photographing the whole thing. One of the things that the DA said that imagine how would you clear a scene like that today?
Yeah.
Amazing. Just amazing.
Well, David DeCosmo, one thing we know is you were there for all of it, and we appreciate you checking in on the on the day of the passing of George Banks. Thank you very much, my friend.
I thank you. I'm just still sitting here amazed that I'm the same age as him. Hey, take care. Thanks for having me on, and I hope all your news is good.
Take care of those allergies. We can't wait till you come back.
Okay, bye-bye.
David DeCosmo, the great David DeCosmo. Journalism like it should be, and we love him. Well, my Bacardo Jewelers watch tells me it's running up on 9:50, which means time for the Bloomberg Money Minute. Let's do that, and then we'll come back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show on Election Day. This date, 1965, Murph says the Rolling Stones had the #1 hit in the United Kingdom with Get Off My Cloud. Bob Cordaro back with you. My man Mark Mayer telling me, he says he basically voices what a lot of you have texted in. He says David DeCosmo is excellent. I love him. He's great. Somebody texted in, Tom Welby's taking money from Marty Flynn, $100,000. He's too connected. Well, this is why I'm telling you to vote for Chet Murley. It's the only change that's going to happen. Other than that, you're going to get status quo, which is horrible. So, Chet Murley's the way to go, guys. And don't be a dummy-crat. Vote Chet if you want change. If you want more of the same insanity, then you can vote for the other two. I don't know why you would think that, why you would do that, but somebody texted in, thank you for doing this. What about Superior Court Alice Dubow and Commonwealth Court Michael Wojcik retention question? Vote no. Thank you for bringing that up. They are both left-wing loonies. They are both Democrat Party functionaries. So the entire back page, and on my sample ballot, it's a whole page. It's all the statewide judges, Supreme Court, Superior Court, Commonwealth Court. No, 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 just like the song goes. No, 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 no. Somebody said, good morning. My wife and I are still looking for all the negative ads regarding the Democrat judges for retention. Supposedly the millions have been spent in a negative campaign by out-of-state donors. You know they lie. They wanted to have an excuse for why they were running ads for themselves. Somebody says, just saw Pennsylvania Supreme Court retention vote mentioned as one to watch by Karl Rove on Fox, so I guess it is a big deal, says William. It is a very big deal. A very big deal. Somebody else, I was voter 86 at 9:05 at Exeter Township. Now, I don't know, frankly, what that means. If it's one of those polling places where only 400 people show up, it sounds like a lot to me, but I don't know. Somebody texted in, how is someone a Democrat that doesn't subscribe to the party's platform? Well, the one that I am supporting outright for Mayor of Scranton, because I'm a Scrantonian, is Gene Barrett, and he's a registered Democrat. He doesn't subscribe to the party's platform. The party platform is insanity. And he's not a career politician. He's not like Paige Cognetti trying to get like, oh, let's be the mayor of Scranton, and then I've got a platform to run for the next office. He's not doing that. He's running to be the mayor of Scranton. Somebody said in Lackawanna County, the Dem sheeple will never pull a lever for a Republican. They'd rather have their fingernails pulled out. Yeah, but here's the thing. Chet Murley could win because there's a serious divide in the Democrat Party. That's number one. So if you're not throwing your vote away by voting for Chet. And in the mayor's race in Scranton, you're not throwing your vote away by voting for Gene Barrett. Frankly, I think if she's a good candidate, good person, all that. We've had her on the air. She's got great commercials. She's hitting all the issues. But she can't win. That's the fact. I don't like saying that about a Republican. Cannot win. It is literally impossible. So you're throwing your vote away if you vote for the Republican candidate for mayor in Scranton. You just are. I'm sorry. Joe from Trips Park, Cognetti would be a great realtor. She's got a phenomenal closing record. Closing schools, closing pools, and City Hall. Yep. Okay, somebody says 86 is more than usual at Exeter Township. That's good. Because you got a big council race. You've got out-of-state money coming in again for these people, the Democrat left-wingers. It's not good. You got to vote Republican in that Luzerne County Council race. So he said, good morning, Bob. I made a mistake. I put the radio on at 8:30 a.m., and Nancy and Jason were talking about Trump name-calling, but I never heard them complain about Biden calling MAGA Republicans garbage and other names. They're confused souls. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. You can take any issue. The morning team doesn't know what they're talking about. They literally don't know what they're talking about. It's just the way it is. Nice people, but they're wrong about everything. We can live with that. Bob Cordaro, WILK. It's time for the news. My Bacardo Jewelers watch says I'm way over at 10:03. So let's get to Brian Hughes. We'll come back and get some stuff done here on Election Day. Great good morning, everyone. My Bacardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 10:11 a.m. here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Tuesday, November 4, 2025, Election Day. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. And it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values. And with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and his great company, Serenity Care, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today, like Edward Barrett of Jessup, Albert Micka, DuPont, and Richard Dent, Salem Township. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that we will provide for the balance of the morning a sanctuary of sanity for all of you in a mad, 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 mad world. Now, I don't know if I got to it. There's a page, and I've only got one Luzerne County sample ballot. But there's a page with Supreme Court, Supreme Court, Supreme Court down the left-hand side, Superior Court, Commonwealth Court, retentions. And I'm telling you, it is my very serious and considered opinion and suggestion to you to vote no on all of them. That's Christine Donahue. That's Kevin Doherty. That's David Wecht. That's Michael Wojcik on the Commonwealth Court. And that is Alice Dubow on Superior Court. Out, out, out. The judge I'll be voting, well, and I think Mark Powell's running for Lackawanna County judge. I'll be voting for him. But then I'll be voting to retain Andy Jarbola, our great former DA and really good judge in Lackawanna County. So he said, Bob, I'm from Luzerne County and not sure how to vote on the home rule charter question. I read it. I don't even know what it means. What does it mean? It says, shall the home rule charter of Luzerne County be repealed and the form of government recommended in the report of the Government Study Commission of July 28, 2025 be adopted? I don't know what that recommendation was. They should get rid of the county council. That's for sure. So I don't know. I guess yes. Cabinet guy says he voted no for all the bums, all the statewide judges. Good. Somebody else says shout out to Jeff Hoover running for Duryea Council. The Hoove. I'm voting for him too. I can't, but I'm voting spiritually with the Hoove, Jeff Hoover. LTS back at you. So Jeff Hoover, Duryea Council. Somebody says Trish Bynum can win. Well, no, she can't. It's the fact. They said that back in 1989, Jimmy Connors ran as a Republican. No, everybody knew Jimmy Connors could win. That's why they recruited him to run as a Republican. Look, it's Trish's first time even in the public spotlight. It's not going to happen. It cannot happen. I promise you. I take no solace from that fact. I committed to Gene Barrett long before Trish Bynum was in the race, but that's a separate issue. That's just me personally. He's the best guy for mayor. The best person for mayor, period. Yeah, that home rule charter thing. Just vote yes. It's got the form of government in Luzerne County can't get any worse. Now let's go to Mike from Bloomsburg. Michael, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good, Bob. Just tuned in your show here. I didn't get much sleep last night. I actually had a nightmare that I haven't had anything like that since I was a little kid. It was horrible. and it just scared me. I didn't have anybody to talk to because my wife she works at the polling station, so she had to be up at 5 o'clock, and I wasn't going to wake her. But anyway, hey, the reason I'm calling, Bob, I wanted to ask you a question. Do you know what Germany surrendered in the Second World War?
Well, I think I do, but you're going to tell me. It might be something I'll learn.
It's pretty simple. There wasn't a building left standing in Berlin.
Well,
So
and Hitler was dead.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the other part.
They were destroyed. Okay, and I honestly think that we have a Democrat Party today that, in order to take over, and when I say the Democrat Party, I don't mean the regular Democrats like my parents were and I used to be, and I don't know if you happen to be.
I know exactly what you mean, yeah.
I'm talking about the Democrats today that want to reinvent and take over the United States of America. They're willing to take it and burn it right to the ground to start over in their image. And I just can't say how important it is to vote no, and no on the judges. And
by the way, I'm adding two more no's, Mike. I'm adding two more no's because you've got another Superior Court candidate by the name of Alice Dubow, and a Commonwealth Court judge by the name of Michael Wojcik that both have to get a no.
Well, then do it.
Yeah.
And what I want to say is the Democrats were in a doom loop. Everything that they touched was burning up. The illegal aliens coming in, that blew up in their faces. All the transvestite and all that stuff, everything was just blowing up. And they're desperate right now. And I think that is why they have the government shut down. Their only hope is to, and it's worked in the past, shut down the government and then blame the president. And, they tried to destroy him how many times, what they've done to him and what he was doing for America. They wanted to stop him. The last thing they want is a strong, prosperous, independent America. They do not want that. And that's what people need to remember when they go to vote. And they hurt themselves because they kept having all these judges out of nowhere stopping Trump, trying to improve this country, trying to make it better. And I think a lot of people notice that these judges are just going, no, no, no. And they're trying to stop progress, and hopefully people are going to go to the polls and go, no, no, no.
Yeah, these are the leadership and the current elected, and I hate to accept Fetterman because he's the only one making any sense. He's still voting with the Democrat left, but he is saying things that make sense. But all of them are just awful. You look at Barack Obama. He's telling people just last year, he's telling blacks in particular, oh, you got to vote for the sister. And he goes and campaigns against a black woman running for governor in Virginia. They're all phony liars. Obama as bad as any of them. It's unbelievable.
Exactly. And here's what my wife used to tell me when our kids were small. She said, Mike, don't get upset about what they're saying. Watch their feet. And if they're going in the direction you want them to go, then be happy with that. Yeah. And I think that's what we need to be doing with Donald Trump. Not so much listening to his antics that come out of his mouth, but watch the direction and the things that he's trying to do for the country.
I explained to people, I said, he just can't keep his mouth shut. I said, so you know what? That's part of it. That's part of the package. Let's take the policies. Let's take the leadership. Let's take the strength, and we'll put up with the mouth. Sometimes it's funny as hell, too. So I'll take the mouth,
Compare what he says with what the Democrats say, the outlandish things that they make up, the lies. I would rather have Donald Trump saying stupid stuff than a continuous barrage of lies coming at me from Democrats.
I can't believe Democrat voters are not supremely offended by their leadership and their candidates. Really can't.
And you know what? You know who's the worst and getting worse every day? Josh Shapiro.
Oh, he's a disgrace. Absolute disgrace. Wolf in sheep's clothing, left-wing lunatic, liar, phony, anything for a and also spendthrift. It's unbelievable. It's really sad. But hey, we got to go, my man. But thank you. Always a pleasure, Mike.
Take care now. Thank you very much.
Right,
Bye.
friend. Hey, somebody says the home rule charter changes from 11 to 9 council members and changes the term limits. Okay, vote. So I'd just say vote yes. Vote yes for the Luzerne County charter question. Why not? The less politicians, the better. You know, get back to 3. Never mind 9. Get back to commissioners. Hey, we got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, we'll have our great sponsors, a little history, a little music, and then your calls at 570-883-0098. Sam and Dave. Murph says this date, 1967, they had the number one R&B hit with Soul Man. And that's just to prove to you that Soul Man didn't start with the Blues Brothers. It predated them. And then, of course, the great Dwight D. Eisenhower elected president of the United States, defeating Adlai Stevenson in 1952, this date. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. Let's go to the blower real quick. We got Frank from Old Forge. Hi, Frank. How are you, man?
Bob, I'm putting out the call for voters here. I'm working the polls between Old Forge and Scranton, and guess what? For a county that got a 33% tax increase, a rushed assessment, right? Where are the voters? People, come on out. And Bob, let's make the point. It's an off-year election, so your vote counts even more, and that's what my aunt said. Frank, why should I go? Why am I going to go vote? Because your vote in an off-year election can actually have people win that are on your side. So Republicans and the good Democrats, it's a beautiful day. Get in your car and come on out now. There's no lines, and you have to absolutely make your voice heard if you want to save, right, what's in it for them, save taxes, save the county, save your school districts. So, yeah, Bob, we need more voters here because I got plenty of poll workers. Where's the voters?
We have the city of Scranton itself is at stake in the election today, and the county of Lackawanna is at stake. It's that
absolutely
dire what these people have done to us.
And it's that simple, Bob. Just come out and vote. There's no lines. It's not rainy. It's a beautiful sunny day.
Mm-hmm.
Get in your car and take that ride. Come on in. Cast your ballot, and then go home and watch the results because we're going to win if you come out. That's how simple it is.
Yeah, I'm with you, Frank. Thank you, man.
You're welcome, Bob.
Keep plugging throughout the day. Every vote may count.
Amen.
All right. Yeah. Guys, there's not much more to say except please do it. Somebody says, Bob, people need to vote no on the Luzerne County charter ballot question. It is to repeal the current charter and replace it with a new, very similar charter. The only good is less council member, but it gives council members more power and more autonomy. They do what they want now without regard to the taxpayers' best interest, and giving council more power will make it worse. No, but more power, you can, and I don't know exactly what that means, but giving more power to elected officials is a good thing because then you know who's to blame. Right now, there's nobody to blame when things go the wrong way. I mean, you could blame them for hiring Crocamo, but other than that, so I get your point, but I don't know. They just got to get rid of the whole thing. But going from 11 to 9 is a big deal. Just that alone. Because maybe we could get back to majority-minority county commissioners again. It really is the only way to go. And just because you elected crappy commissioners, don't blame that on the system. You got to blame that vote goes squarely on the voters. And remember this, too. The last time you voted for county commissioners in Luzerne County and that you had county commissioners, the county was Democrat. It has now flipped to Republican. I can almost assure you're going to get better results. Let's remember that. Get rid of this stupid county council, but at least for now, let's reduce it. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We're going to hear from our great sponsors. We've got a Veterans Tribute. We've got the weather. We've got a little ditty we'll play for you. And then more. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our veteran this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by John Basiliga. Friend of this area, friend of this country. Today featuring one of his great companies, Serenity Care, a personal care community with 4 locations, Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. They are completely redone, totally refurbished. They're beautiful. They are the gold standard in senior care in Northeast Pennsylvania. Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. Dementia care at Mid-Valley and Kingston locations. Albert Micka. We lost him at age 82 on October 23rd. He was from DuPont, formerly of Mount Cobb. He passed away October 23rd with his family at his side. He was born in Taylor, raised in DuPont, lifelong member of Holy Mother of Sorrows Polish National Catholic Church in DuPont. Graduate of DuPont High School and the University of Scranton School of Business. He enlisted in the United States Coast Guard and then the U.S. Navy Reserves here in Avoca. During his time in the Navy, his proudest call to duty was working to save lives and property during Hurricane Agnes. Early in his business career, he opened Al's Men's and Boys Clothing in DuPont before becoming president of DM Associates, a manufacturing rep company for over 40 years. In 1965, Al married his sweetheart, Donna Sienkiewicz. They had recently celebrated their 59th wedding anniversary just 8 days before he passed away. Known to many as TV Al, he could often be spotted on American Bandstand dancing his feet off. He loved to travel. Al loved being a most impressive tour guide. Al took pride in his community, which he demonstrated volunteering in various community organizations and boards. He was a Shriner. He was a Mason, a Polish American Citizens Club in DuPont, chairman of the National Association of United Choirs of the PNCC. He wintered with his wife in Glendale, Arizona. In addition to her, they're survived by his wife, Donna, daughter, son, 4 grandchildren, and many other family members. Albert Micka, our great veteran this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Serenity Care, the gold standard in personal care communities. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, sunny and windy, 57. It's not that windy to vote. 54 outside the studios right now. Tonight, clear skies, low 38. Wednesday, partly sunny, not as windy. Showers developing by evening. It'll be 60 degrees. Thursday, sunny, breezy, cooler, 50 degrees. I've grew to love this song. We played it in the prison band, and I really got to like it. Johnny Nash, Murph says, this date 1972, the number one top 10 charts hit and the number one R&B hit with I Can See Clearly Now. Good song. Bob Cordaro back with all of you. And, yeah, guys, it's Election Day. How many times do we have to say it? Well, we'll say it as much as we have to. We got only 3 hours to tell you, so we'll keep telling you. And I've momentarily lost it. They've got this computer in here, okay? So if you don't touch it for a certain amount of moments, if you don't like touch a button or whatever, it goes off on you. And then I have to put the Bulldogs password or whatever in there because I don't know why it won't let me have one. So, and then you see, I punched it in. I punched in Bulldogs thing, which I can't disclose to you because it's super secret. And so I don't have your text at the moment. But you can call 570-883-0098. Somebody said, thank you, Bob. Love your music. Well, it's Murph's music. You got to give him the credit. Somebody says, didn't Mamdani's father escape socialism twice for capitalism? He's a clown. He's a joke. He's an idiot. Mamdani's father. So is the kid. We played you montages of his various fake accents. The kid. The guy's a gold-plated phony. And I'm telling you, you cannot be an Islamist as he claims to be and support women and the LGBTQ plus community. Cannot happen. Impossible. And you can't be an Islamist, period, and have any kind of normal position towards Jews and the state of Israel. Can't do it. Our great listener says, thank you, Murph, for the music. That's who you got to thank. I cannot take credit. I played a little longer than most talk show guys because I think it's important. Plus, you know, when you're hearing a song and you start to like it, you don't want it pulled out from under you, right? My son Peter letting me know about Al Gribble, who's sending a message, and it says Veterans Day next Tuesday. Remember, it's a holiday. We're going to be off. I don't even think we have the option to be here. But they're going to have a gathering for former members and spouses of the West Pittston Army National Guard at the Scranton Club in downtown Scranton, right across the street from City Hall. They're going to have a dinner welcoming at 5:30, dinner at 6. And it's for veterans. You can notify Rich Perry if you're planning to attend. 371-9000. That's an easy number. You can even remember it on radio. 371-9000. No uniform required, but if you have got appropriate military or patriotic casual wear, do it. That's a great celebration at the I'm going to ask him to call in at some point because that's important. That's a nice Veterans Day event. So yeah, guys, we've when we look at the races, there's got to be a combination of passion and logic. You got to be passionate about what you want for your community and hopefully about your candidates, but it's not necessary. The two candidates that I'm supporting the most, well, let's say three, because you look at, and Andy Jarbola is not going to have any problems, so I'm just vote yes on Andy Jarbola, our judge. But I'm talking about Mark Payne, Scranton City Council, Gene Barrett, Mayor, and Chet Murley commissioner. And none of these guys are like, exciting jumping off the page, although Mark Payne does a little bit. They're solid. They're going to do the job. I'm passionate about what Chet Murley could do for Lackawanna County and turn it around like quickly with a new majority. And get rid of this insane Democrats kicking the sand out of the sandbox so that they could be in control of it. And that's little Billy Gaughan and his gang, the Boy King and his gang, and Marty Flynn and his gang. Stop. Enough. Basta. Vote Chet Murley and get it done. And same with Gene Barrett. He's ready to do it. He knows what to do. And these guys are calm. They're measured. They've got a plan. They have experience. And it'll make a huge difference in Scranton and Lackawanna County. It truly will. All right, we got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Let's do that. In the middle of our little break, we're going to have the Bloomberg Money Minute, but we'll be back after that. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. The Moody Blues, this date 1972. I think this was their biggest song on the charts anyway. Nights in White Satin. Did I say November 4th, 1972? Yeah, I think I did. Bob Cordaro back with you on the eponymous program as we cruise towards the top of the hour. So because the voting machine is broken at the voting booth next to the Luzerne County Fairgrounds. 6 months to make sure these devices are ready to go, and they can't manage that. How can there be more problems? It's quite amazing. I don't understand it. By the way, Mike Mancini and Virgil Argenta tell me great turnout in Scranton so far. That's good. We got to get rid of this mayor. Got to get rid of this mayor. We got to get Mark Payne in there. Has to happen. Clive, we're sneaking you in at the top of the hour, my friend. Fire away.
You know, Bob, you can't make this stuff up with the Luzerne County Election Bureau. It's election after election, and no one's ever held accountable. County council just looks the other way. The buck ultimately stops with them, and they won't touch it. You know, I rue the day that I voted for this county council / county manager form of government.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it at the time. I should have. But we, the people, gave up our power and transferred it to politicians in that we no longer select the county row offices. Sheriff, coroner, pathonetary, clerk of courts, right on down the line. And that
and
to
you know
me
what,
is
Clive,
a big...
the sad part is I'll bet a lot of Republicans voted that way because they figured they'd never get majority commissioners and they'd never win one of the row offices. And now the county has flipped and you have a chance for good government. And now we can't do it. And I was asked to testify at the time. I remember at Kingston Township, rather. And it was, one of those cable televised things. And I said, wait a minute. I said, please, they expected, since I was apparently going to be the permanent minority commissioner in Lackawanna County, that I would be for it. And I said, wait, are you telling me that you're disgusted with your 3 politicians, so now you want 11?
Yeah.
I said, really?
Yeah.
And I said, at least the 3 politicians are accountable. The 11 will not be. And that's where we're at.
Well, that is where we're at. And if this Hazelton faction takes control of county council, it's going to be even more of a disaster. And that may very well happen if they take control. But it's just a mess. It's a morass. And it's dysfunctional. And a big mistake. I'm guilty of it. I voted for this. But part of it was the fallout from the Kids for Cash scandal when the courthouse was corrupt to the core.
Yep.
People wanted to change, and we swallowed it hook, line, and sinker, and here we are.
And here we are. But at least we're together, Clive.
Right.
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 All right, man.
That's all we got is each other.
That's right. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure. We got to take a break because it's news time. My Picardo Jewelers watch, and I've got a Picardo Jewelers watch. Okay, it says Picardo right across the top, but they've got Raymond Weil, they've got Breitling, they've got Oris, they've got Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army, Seiko, Tory Burch, Victorinox, Bulova, and more. You got to check it out. Spruce Street and Jefferson Avenue across, or catty corner from the Radisson Hotel. It is the watch store. It is the jewelry store. Go see Alex. Go see the brothers. I'm telling you, you'll love it. We'll take a break and be back after this, the news with Brian Hughes. is 11:08 a.m. here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Tuesday, November 4, 2025, Election Day. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and one of his great companies, Serenity Care Personal Care, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we've lost this year but celebrate today thanks to John, like Edward Barrett, Jessup, Albert Micka, DuPont, and Richard Dent, Salem Township. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our commitment to common sense will ensure a sanctuary of sanity for all of you through the balance of this morning. Somebody said, Bob, I'm a bit confused about how to vote for home rule. I'm a Republican conservative, and this one issue has me unsure. How do you see it? Thanks, and LTS. Also, no for the state judges. I'm all in for that. And it's actually no, because the Commonwealth Court retention and the Superior Court retention are on the same sheet. 5 judges in total statewide, all statewide, to vote against. Good thing. Now, someone responding to that question, someone texted in, vote no to the Luzerne County Home Rule Charter question. Because, number one, it will change the counts from 11 to 9 members in 2028, giving less representation. See, I disagree with you completely. I want more responsibility on the elected officials. Now, number two, election board remains at 5 members, but in 2 years, council can change it. This will give the politicians more control over elections. And number 3, term limits are currently at 3 terms. The revised charter won't count partial terms, which will allow council and DA to serve longer than 3 terms. I'm all for that. But by the way, if they're not doing a good job, vote them out. I'm against term limits, just so you know. I'm against it. Term limits are what the voters determine. Not some sort of emotional, throw all the bombs. No, I don't agree with term limits at all. That's the job. So I'm for the Luzerne County Charter question. They didn't do much, but they went from 11 to 9, which means the 9 will have at least some level of responsibility. So we've got the Mamdani mayoralty staring us in the face. We've seen the lack of progress from having a left-wing lunatic in Scranton, who we hopefully will vote out today. And she actually had the arrogance to announce for U.S. Congress before she won her reelection as mayor. You can't even make that up. That is so insulting and so arrogant, it's off the charts. That reason alone, if she was a competent mayor, which she is not, she's been awful. If she was a competent mayor, you would have to vote her out simply for that level of arrogance. Nuts. By the way, former Mayor Thomas Keene, my man Murph tells me, who has never endorsed anyone, has come out for Jack Ciattarelli. I really want Ciattarelli. And I texted a bunch of people. I told you this yesterday. I texted a bunch of friends in New Jersey to make sure they're voting for Ciattarelli. This woman is a disaster. She reminds me so much of Paige Cognetti, it's frightening. They've got no substance to what they say. They just say things. Hey, Mother Teresa, before I get lathered up, Mother Teresa for November 4th, she says, whoever the poorest of the poor are, they are Christ for us, Jesus under the guise of human suffering. And did she live that life? Man. Gene also asking how Lorraine is doing. Well, I'm going to have to check. I'll have to check on how Lorraine's doing. She's better. She's out of the hospital. But, hey, these struggles don't come alone. Hey, let's go to the blower. Angelo from Madisonville.
Buongiorno. I'll tell you what, I went and voted early, very early. And there wasn't a lot of people there, but it's going smoothly. So that's a good thing,
Yeah.
Hopefully there'll be a lot of people out voting. I don't want to hear no complaints if they didn't vote. And I just want to tell you, I'm sitting here in Kay's Coffee Grind up here in Daleville, Covington Township, and a lot of people came in with that little tag, I voted.
Okay.
Which that's pretty good, man.
And up your way, that's a good
hear
thing. A lot of places, it makes you nervous because you say they all voted Dummycrat, but not necessarily up your way, right?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, that I was a Democrat for years, and you know what? I vote both parties. It all depends who was running,
exactly,
and who I thought would do a good job. But you know what? It's common sense now. If you don't have common sense, you're lost, buddy. I mean, look what's going on. I sit here in different places where I go, and I hear the conversations. Half of them don't have a clue, but the other half do. So it's up to me and you to.
Well, you would wish the half that don't have a clue would stay home. I always tell people, they say, oh, more people need to vote. No, less people need to vote because there's too many uneducated voters who just go and whatever. I don't even know why they vote. If you don't know who you're voting for, if you don't know why vote?
Yeah, well, they don't do any investigating. They don't do any, pre-voting responsibilities. They have none. Go out and see what's going on, read, and talk to people. That's one thing I'm good at, Bob. I can talk. Some people see me and they just wave and go the other way. Oh, don't go by him. You'll never get away
Well,
from
Angelo,
him.
tell me, who in the county commissioner race, does Chet Murley have a chance in your view? That's who I'm voting for. That's who I'm up for. That's who we need.
Well, I voted for Chet, too.
Yeah.
I hope he has a chance. I don't know. Half the people I talk to are voting for him. The other ones, well,
that's good because the Democrats are completely divided, Angelo.
Yeah.
It's the Marty Flynn faction, and he put $100,000 into the Tom Welby campaign, and it's the Casey Nealon Paige Cognetti faction with Gahan as the other for the other candidate. It's like, man, there's no good choice there. That's how you vote for Chet if you want to actually change the direction.
I wonder what's going to happen no matter who wins, what that lady's going to do. Like, she has to resign.
Yeah, but
isn't there the law?
She doesn't have an army. She doesn't have an army to keep her from being removed. No, she'll be replaced.
Yeah,
there could be a legal question about whether she's replaced in January or immediately. I believe it would be immediate. Because, remember, the seat isn't vacant anymore. She's got a legal argument there to serve until January. So there's an argument. Because, the seat's not vacant. So you go in, and you're going in January. But I don't think she'll prevail on that front. I think once the judges allowed the election to go forward, they understood that meant she leaves when somebody's elected.
Well, we'll see. It's Lackawanna County, buddy.
Always fun. But again, we get the change with Chet. We don't get change with anybody else, and I'm hoping enough voters see that.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. LTS, I'll let you go. I know you're busy. God bless you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to talk to a few people right now.
Get them. Go get them, Angelo.
Brunettes and redheads that just walked in, and they need my attention. So. God bless you.
Have a great election day, Angelo. Thanks, brother. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. getting the feed. I think there's an issue with the microphone. Okay, so obviously I can't have a bad microphone, otherwise there's no show. Anyway, Nicolette Larson, Murph says she released her hit "Lot of Love" this date, 1978. Somebody evoking Ronaldus Magnus, the great Ronald Reagan, as Rush used to say. Somebody texts in, Bob, good turnout here in Herrick Township, Susquehanna County. That's a good thing. We've got to overcome a lot of crappy blind votes, a lot of cheating votes in Philly, especially for these judicial candidates. Yeah. In any event, somebody says, Bob, the uninformed vote to get and keep their free stuff. We'll see. Somebody tell me Page is going to win because there's too many others running. We'll see. We will see. I didn't think it was possible to defeat an incumbent Democrat until recently. We're going to find out. I know how I'll be voting for Gene Barrett when I get in there. Look at the spoilers, the Republican candidate. At least half of their vote would have gone to Barrett, is my view. At least half. So she gets a couple thousand votes, can't win, and it could be enough to deny us a new mayor. We'll see. I mean, somebody says not a fan of Shapiro, but he should get his money back or ours for those lame-ass videos his PR team is putting out. Yeah, it's all this, he's a phony. He's gold-plated phony. Gold-plated phony. There's not even a doubt about it, sadly. Let's go to Gary from Mill City. How are you, Gary?
Good, Bob. How are you this morning?
I'm great.
I've been going to call. I haven't had time. The Republican, I don't know, response, whatever, to this election and the retention of the 3 judges, Supreme Court judges, that voted for, in my opinion, against our Constitution. They don't have the right to set the rules for our elections, which they did, the drop boxes, the counting of votes after the election is over, the time that we had to accept the votes. These people are setting policy from the bench. That isn't their job.
Yep.
And they far outreach.
Listen to this. Gary, listen to this. And one of our great listeners reminded me of this fact. The one Supreme Court justice, her name is Christine Donahue. She can only serve for 3 more years, but she's running so that the Democrat governor can replace her.
Yep, I was going to mention that.
It's insane. So you got Donahue, Doherty, and Wecht, hacks all, and then you go to Superior Court, Dubow, you got to vote no, and you go to Commonwealth Court, Wojcik, you got to vote no, period. They're awful.
And my point being, the Republican Party at the state and federal level, national level, does a terrible job. You mentioned it on your show. I see a couple signs around. This should have been a big issue. And that the Republican Party didn't run ads on what these judges actually did, taking away our freedom, taking away actually our votes counting by what they did and how they did it above their, and that the Republican Party didn't run ads to counter the one judge run an ad I saw.
Well, they ran the no-no. They ran the no-no ad, which I thought was pretty good.
Well, I didn't see any.
Yeah, there was. Well, I didn't see it on TV. I heard it on our station where they said no, 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 and I thought that was pretty effective and good. People remembered that.
Well, for the power that these judges took in their own hands that constitutionally they don't have, that the Republicans didn't run a big campaign against this is just beyond me. And the Republican leadership is terrible. and local ads hammering Rob Bresnahan. And the Republican Party, once again, isn't responding to those ads and isn't responding with government shutdown ads. To me, it's just unacceptable.
Well,
Unbelievable.
Gary, you got to remember this sad fact. The Democrats, because they're for big government and for more government and government control, which benefits big business, there's more money on the Democrat side, particularly dark money. There's just a hell of a lot more on the other side.
I understand that, but I believe,
I know,
like I said, at the state level and Rob Bresnahan is being destroyed with ads that are nothing but lies.
Nothing but lies.
And
yep.
There is no response from the state or the Federal Republican National Committee. To me, it's just a shame. And to me, they don't want to win. They want Trump. They don't want Trump to have the power they do. So Rob Bresnahan doesn't matter to the Republican National Committee now. Or money would be spent nationwide on this government shutdown, big ads and local ads. Rob Bresnahan is doing a great job, and he's being murdered by lies, and people hear those lies every day. Those lies become truth. History tells us that. Thank you for your time, Bob. You have a great day.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Gary, and good points. All good points. It is crazy that the Democrats are still using the same old tropes. The party of the rich and the billionaire giveaways and all the lies they use. And the billionaire money and the big money is on the left because they want control. They want control. That's it. And people will pay more for control than they will for freedom. And that's the point we've gotten to. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by our man, John Basiliga. And today we salute another one of his great companies, Serenity Care, the gold standard in personal care communities. 4 locations, Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. Dementia care services and units in Mid-Valley and Kingston. All 4 locations have been completely renovated inside and out, accepting new residents, because John has a passion for providing the highest quality senior care in the region and beautiful personal care homes for seniors to live in. It is the gold standard. Richard Dent, electrical contractor, enjoyed showing his dogs. He was 80. He was from Salem Township when we lost him October 19th at home. Born in Berwick, graduate of the Berwick Area Senior High School, class of 1964. He served us honorably in the U.S. Army, 1965 to 1967 during the Vietnam War. He was an electrical contractor for the Howard Organization for many years. Life member of VFW Post in Benton. Enjoyed showing his Greater Swiss Mountain Dogs and his horses as well. He and his wife, Georgia, did all of that. Sadly, he was preceded in death by his wife, Georgia Ann Brown, back in 2014. He'll be greatly missed by his son, Richard Bill Dent, his daughter, Nikki Graham, their spouses, his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren, with one more on the way. Also a brother, a sister, and many other family members. Richard Dent, our veteran this hour, brought to you by our man John Basiliga and Serenity Care. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, sunny and windy, 57 degrees. Tonight, clear skies, 38 degrees. Wednesday, partly sunny, not as windy. Showers developing, however, by evening. It'll be about 60 degrees. Thursday, sunny, breezy, and cooler, 50. Okay. We could live with that in November, right? Bulldog, keep playing the song. I just have to mention the audience. We had a problem with the microphone here. So, you know, we do an all points bulletin for our engineer, Bill France. He comes in, he says, the microphone's not plugged in. He said everything but dummy, which he should have said. But then I say to the Bulldog, can't you fix any of this stuff? Would have taken nothing. I'm afraid to touch anything. Anyway, the B-52s. Murph says this date, 1989. They moved up to number 4 with their hit Love Shack. And I love this song. I'm going to tell you why. Not only is it catchy and all that stuff, but when I was going around the track in prison, and I did go around a million times, which is probably why I could barely walk now. This was 5.2 miles an hour. I would time the songs to walk to the beat. I would time the songs on a treadmill and see what speed it got me to. So, man, you do 5.2 miles for the length of this song, and it's pretty good. Plus, it's a funny song, you know? Anyway, that's Love Shack. B-52s. I love the song for a lot of reasons. In any event, I told you one of my favorite candidates is Mark Payne for Scranton City Council. And here he is. Mark, how are you?
Good, Bob. How are you?
I'm
enjoying Love Shack there.
Yeah, I know. I hate to turn it off, but I figured on Election Day, you're more important than Love Shack.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. No, I just wanted to touch base with you. I mean, we're out all over the place today.
I'm hearing that the turnout's really good. I hear that.
It is. This morning, it was very heavy this morning, which was great. There's a little bit of a lull now, which is kind of expected, lunchtime. That should be starting to pick up. But, yeah, I'm really happy with what we had so far. It's good.
Good. Now, everybody has different ideas, different strategies. Some people just say, you know what, there's too much to cover. I'm just going to hang out where I live or whatever. What is your plan for Election Day, Mark Payne?
Well, we started out, of course, where I live, but I've been pretty much covering the city back and forth all day long. We have people out, we have poll workers, greeters out working for us, which is great. So we're just running all over the place. I've been spending the majority of my time right now down at Scranton High School because that's the bulk of the.
Yeah, I'll see you there in a little bit.
Yeah, but no, it's been a good turnout. And like I said, we're all over it. So we have a special guy coming in to do a little work for me today. I can't tell you right now, but I'll call back later and tell you. But then when we're done here, I'm going to head over to probably Trips Park and then over to Kaiser Valley area, that direction, and then back over to Southside.
It's funny, Mark. I'm just hoping people overcome for you, since you've already been on the ballot. They already know you stayed solid and steady even after the last election, and they know the name now. So let's cut the nonsense, Democrats voters, and start voting for Mark Payne. That's what I say.
Well, yeah, and I'm getting a great response to that. There's so many people that come in, like, never voted for a Republican, but we're voting for you.
Good.
And that's fantastic. It's good to hear, and it really puts a little bounce in your step, especially on a day like today.
Well, you know what, Mark? Because you ran a good campaign. You worked hard. I remember on election days, I figured that, let's keep campaigning, but let's have fun. And election day can be fun in that regard.
It is. I mean, I have a great bunch of people working with me. So, I mean, they're out, dropping food off and coffees and donuts. And we are having a good time. And the atmosphere with even all the other candidates that are here is really good. Everybody's kind of joking around with each other and just having a good fun. It's a good atmosphere.
Well, there's some good Democrat council candidates too. So yeah, there are. They're good. Yeah. They're good guys. They're fun. All that. Yeah. That's good to hear. Yeah.
I mean, the only things we had, Turning Point, Gen Z is here, which is great. It's like the first sanctioned, Turning Point in the Northeast here. And these guys have a tent set up. They're great kids. They're great young students. They're awesome. And there's every now and again you'll get somebody that has something dirty to say to them or something like that. But it's,
Mark, I remember one time I was campaigning for Congress in 1988, and I'm up at RCA, and somebody, like, it's 5:30 in the morning, and one of the people comes by and goes, "Yeah, you bums are only here on election year." I said, "Well, if you pay me, I'll come every day."
Well, that's it. The one person, they were taking cards, the slate cards that we have, and mine have bullet points on the back. And one girl, she just looked at me. She's like, "I'm going to vote for you, but I don't know. I want to make sure that you do this." I said, "Well, I'll tell you what." I said, "That slate card, don't throw it in the garbage like everybody else does. Take it home with you and save it. And when I win, give me a year. Come back to me and say, I didn't do this or I did do that.
Nice.
Just keep me to my word."
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mark Payne, best wishes to you. Good luck. Keep campaigning until the end. It's going to be close. All right?
We are. Thank you, sir.
All right, my man. Mark Payne, that's our candidate for Scranton City Council. We're going to take a break. Bob Cordaro, Well, no, we're not going to take a break. Let's go right to him because the guy I've been bragging about all day, Chet Murley's on the phone, and here he is. Chet, how are you, my man?
Robert. Making the rounds, Robert. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
I figured I won't let you wait through the commercials. So tell me, what is your agenda for today? what types of places, what type of polling places, where are you hitting?
We already hit the Valley, Archibald, and Blakely, Peckville, and then up into the rural areas. And turnout in the rural areas, I mean, it's heavier than it was in the primary. It's not like it was last year in the presidential election, but it's above average, and that's a good sign.
It is, because I think people have had enough. I mean, you got out of this current situation, you got 50% tax increases, you got a botched reassessment, you have all kinds of political shenanigans, and by the way, you're the only answer to the question of change, Chet Murley.
I appreciate that, Bob. I've said it throughout this campaign. My two opponents, they belong to the same political machine, and they're just going to continue fighting, and the taxpayers are going to be the ultimate losers.
Yeah. Well, you did everything you could do. You're continuing to slug it out here today on Election Day. So I wish you the best, Chet. Keep going until the polls close, and I think the best man is you, and you will win.
Thanks for everything, Robert. Appreciate it.
All right. Chet Murley, our candidate for Lackawanna County Commissioner. We'll take a break and be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. that Diamondback victory, 2001. They win 3-2 in Game 7, beating the New York Yankees. Shania Twain, I love the song. This date, 1997, she released her album, Come On Over. Man, I feel like a woman. We might not get to the punchline because also on this date, but way back in 1977, the movie Last Waltz, the final concert of the group The Band, featuring Bob Dylan, Eric Clapton, Ginger Baker, Neil Diamond, Neil Young, Johnny Mitchell, Dr. John and Van Morrison, premiered in New York City. It was recorded November 25, 1976, Thanksgiving Day, at San Francisco's Winterland Ballroom. It was filmed by Martin Scorsese. Members of the band, Robbie Robertson, Levon Helm, Rick Danko, Garth Hudson, Richard Manuel. The night they drove Old Dixie down is what we'll finish with. Levon Helm, who we start the hours, a lot of hours with, is on lead vocals. Love that voice. So that's our deal. It is Election Day. Let me repeat again. If you live in Scranton, I'm asking you, begging you to vote Gene Barrett mayor. Mark Payne council. There are other good council candidates as well on the Democrat side that I'll be voting for. But I want to keep it focused. Chet Murley, Lackawanna County Commissioner. Vote to retain, yes, for Andy Jarbola. Vote for Mark Powell for judge. Good people. And then you'll get to a page, the official judicial retention ballot, Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. No for Donahue. No for Doherty. No for Wecht. No for Alice Dubow for Superior Court. No for Michael Wojcik for Commonwealth Court. No, all statewide candidates. No. People asking about county council, Luzerne County. Vote Republican. Vote for the Republicans. The Democrats have had, whoever's on the ballot as a Democrat has money from out of town from left-wing groups supporting them. Not a good choice for Luzerne County. Keep that in mind. And, of course, I'm for my man Walter Griffiths for controller. But get out and vote. It's important that we do so. It is the only duty we're asked. Whatever moves you. If voting in memory of Charlie Kirk moves you, so be it. If voting in memory of the veterans who only ask us to vote, they don't ask us to fight. They don't ask us to risk our lives. They don't ask us to die for this country. They ask us to vote. And that's the deal. So I'll be here tomorrow, God willing, at 9 a.m. We'll recap what happened. We'll know most of what happens, I suspect. But, at least for now, with the Sue Henry show coming next, the Rob O'Donnell show coming after that, I've got to push off. There's nothing I can do about it. Nothing. Remember that? In Goodfellas? And there was nothing we could do. So I got to go, and I'm going to go vote. I'm going to vote for the people I just told you about, and I hope that many of you will do the same. But for now, I've got to say adios, and I've got to gavel to a close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. And let us hope Luzerne County figures out what the hell is going on down at the fairgrounds. Another broken machine. Dear Lord. All right, guys, hang in there. Do your duty, and we'll figure it all out tomorrow. Have a great afternoon.